step, 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 step. Some of y'all might recognize that as the live version choreography for New Kids on the Block Step by Step. Group stepping has always been a very strong element of my dance style because with all the Marlon Jackson, Michael Jackson, Prince, and James Brown stuff, I love studying members of groups and things that they did. The most unique thing about New Kids on the Block and New Edition, who they learned from, was that the majority of both of those groups were all breakdancers. So they combined the old school stepping with the breakdancing, which was the new thing of that era at that time. So it's a great way to kind of learn diversity and showing the relationship how old and new school can work together. So when you look at something like the Temptations, who was taught by Charlie Atkins, I mean, Charlie Atkins is a genius because he gave every group that he worked with a certain distinction. I'm going to break it down for you. First, there's the Temps. I mean, there's the whole dramatic climax of My Girl in the middle of it, you know, where it was pretty much like this most famous move where they... that famous thing during the breakdown baseline of My Girl. And, you know, even certain things that he did with emotion, where they'd be like, I guess you say what can make me feel this way. My girl, my girl, my girl, whoa, whoa, my girl. See what I'm saying? Like, it was always a certain lock and position that Charlie Atkins did. Even the stuff that he did for Gladys Knight and the Pips, because what people don't know, if you watch the live performance of Gladys Knight and the Pips on the Ed Sullivan Show, they were doing a song called End of the Road, and they did the first incarnation of what would later be known as the Harlem Shake, which is definitely much more of the extreme shoulder thing. But some of the moves that they would do, like, there is got to be a mother somewhere, there's something somewhere. Like, see what I'm saying? So the Pips was doing stuff like that. And then Charlie Atkins also worked with the OJs. And the OJs were known for their turns. They weren't as extreme as the other groups when it came to steps, but they always had a certain thing. So let's shoot for Love Money. Boom, 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 boom. They was always known for their turns. And then you got somebody like Brooke Payne, who was the choreographer for New Edition. I mean, there were just so many different things that they would do. One of my favorite routines of theirs was for the song Crucial. You know, there would be this whole thing where they would spin around and everybody would spin at two different times. Like one person would spin on the one, another person would spin on the two. And as soon as they come back around to the three and the four, you know, Ronnie would be like this because he's the tallest member, and the other guys would be like this, and another guy would be like that. So it gave it that whole domino effect, and then they would launch into the same move and then come together in perfect harmony. So it's just very interesting. I used to study the dynamics between most groups because, as we all know, in the Temptations, Otis wasn't the best dancer. Paul and Eddie brought that with them when they came into the Temptations fold. They brought the whole dance and movement element because before then, Otis Williams was still thinking in doo-wop mode in terms of the move, and he was much of a wallflower, not much of a dancer, but he definitely became one, you know, through rehearsal, trial and error. Same thing with Johnny Gill, because everybody know how famous he was for not knowing how to really dance, especially joining a dancing group like New Edition. So his training was vigorous from what was being said in the interview. So Johnny Gill had to learn too, and eventually he became a mover. He learned how to dance being around those guys. So I always prided myself on studying the different dynamic dance range that everybody had. And then with New Edition as well, people forget that, you know, Bobby Brown and Ralph Tresvant and Michael Bivins were certified breakdancers. So that brought a whole level to that element. So when you see a routine like Cool It Now, where, you know, Ralph would do something like this, where they would be like 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and drop 2, 3, 4. Be a domino effect again. See, I always love domino effects. You know, New Edition did it, Troop did it. Every now and then, New Kids on the Block would do it. They would do things like 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Like that whole thing from Step by Step, because there was a lot of movement and mechanical stuff involved whenever they did certain moves. So I encourage a lot of y'all cats who's out there watching the vlog that are dancers. Like I always said before, study the old school steps of every generation, from the 70s to the 80s and even to the 90s, because there were so many different groups doing different things, and no one group was really the same. But of course, you know, New Edition, Troop, and New Kids on the Block being the pinnacle as far as the groups who created some of the best dance steps. In the 70s, of course, you got the Temptations, the Spinners. The Spinners were dope. Blue Magic, man, you gotta. I encourage y'all to watch the live clip of them on Soul Train, where they was doing the whole robot thing with the song Sideshow, where, you know, Ted Mills was doing the whole, you know, the mechanical movements and things like that. He was doing a lot of that, even slightly right before the whole robot thing started to take off with, of course, Michael Jackson and his brothers. But that's why I always love group movements, because you get a chance to learn about angles, blocking, timing, and it's really challenging at first, but once you get it down pat, it's always fun to do. So I credit a lot of that learning and being involved in that to my boys Errol Hibbert and my big brother Mike Green, because when we came together working in my aunt and uncle's band Eternity, we brought a lot of our ideas to the table and put it all in one pot and mixed it up, and that made for one of the greatest New York City live shows for the last 8 or 9 years, where we pretty much brought the house down with each routine that we did, because we studied all those people who I mentioned. So that's the best way to learn if you want to get even better at it. So I say to y'all, study all the groups of every era so you can implement into your style, and you will become the better dancer.